What's up, everyone? This is Dr. Webb here. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe. New videos coming out every week, so you don't want to miss these videos. In this video today, I'm going to talk about why I never went to class in medical school, so stay tuned. Alright, so in medical school, the way it's set up, most medical schools, the first 2 years you're in the classroom and you go to class. The third and fourth years of medical school, you're in the hospital working. So your first 2 years, your first year is mostly the foundation, basic sciences, biochemistry, cellular biology. You do some pharmacology, some basic genetics, molecular biology, just to get you up to speed. Second year is more clinically applicable to what you'll be doing in the hospital. You learn the pathology and the pathophysiology. So you take classes like cardiology, respiratory, renal, rheumatology, musculoskeletal, and then you go off to the hospital and you are a student doctor. So the first 2 years, like I said, it's in the classroom. Most people tend to go to class. What that means is we had class usually starting at 8 a.m. and then we maybe have 4 or 5 lectures that day, sometimes 3 lectures. So we'll be done maybe 1 to 2 o'clock, and then in the afternoon we have small group sessions, which means that we meet and talk about certain topics that we say. For instance, we're studying the nephrology system. We would have a small group about that and have a nephrologist come and talk about the kidneys and how it works in a clinical setting. So that's how my med school was structured, more clinically based. The classes, there was very few classes that were mandatory, and these were classes that we had to be in, such a small group. But throughout a week, maybe there was 1 class that was mandatory, 2 at most. So for the majority of the time, in lecture, we would go to lecture in the morning time. I would not go to school. I found out very quickly that I can be more efficient if I stayed home and listened to lectures. In our school, recorded lectures. We had an audio. Someone record the lectures and then they're available online. You can download the lecture. So even though I would be a day late on my lecture, so I would review the lectures from yesterday, I still felt that I was effective and more efficient if I stayed home, because I can put that audio on double speed. And say, for instance, my classmates were learning the lecture about embryology and it took an hour. I can do that in 30 minutes. It also saves time because you don't have the intermissions between the classes. And usually there's 50 minutes of lecture and 10-minute break. So you can, over a course of a day, that may be another 2 hours that you can lose just waiting around at school. So what I did was I would actually start earlier than 8 o'clock. I would maybe start at 7 o'clock, and I would do those lectures on 2-speed and be done with lectures around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. The rest of the day I reviewed, I did questions, and maybe went back over those lectures again. So I quickly found that I can be more efficient if I stayed home and studied on my own. So that's how I did majority of my medical school. It did take a little bit of time to figure that out. But once I did figure it out, I became very efficient, and that's how I did well in medical school. So I wanted to make this video to show you that there's not one particular way of studying or doing well, not only in medical school, but also in college, in high school. Just because everyone else is doing one particular thing or studying one particular way doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. Find out what works best for you, and then stick with it. If it works, stick with it. If it doesn't, get rid of it and change it. And all throughout medical school, you have to be very dynamic, and you have to be willing to adjust and adapt to whatever class that you're in. So if I was studying genetics, which I hate genetics, I would maybe study a little bit longer because I just don't understand that crap and the pedigree curves and whatever that crap is called. But you have to be more, you have to be dynamic and adjust according to what you're studying. So I wanted to make this video to show you that most medical schools, they do have some mandatory classes, but for the most part, it's not mandatory to go to school. Even when I went to school, I sat on the back row at the back of the class because I feel like I get distracted and if I sit in the middle of the class where everyone's talking or doing other things. So I always sat in the back if I did have to go. And for the most part, for the majority of medical school, I did not go to class. I studied on my own and studied most of the time. I stayed in bed and stayed in my pajamas and studied that way, listened to audio. Another thing is that I have to have I have to be very close to food, and my refrigerator is very important for me in medical school. I get hungry and I have to eat like all the time, and I felt like that worked out best for me. So find out what works best for you and stick with it. If it doesn't work and if you feel like it's not working, try to adjust it a little bit until you figure out what works best for you. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe. Also comment in the box below what videos would you guys like me to make, what topics, and I will see if I can make that happen. We'll see you next time.